A 5-year-old boy looked out at the world with calm eyes. He had straight red hair that reached his shoulders, and his unusual crimson color made him stand out immediately. His aristocratic face was marked by a sharp chin, while funny whisker-like marks on his cheeks made him resemble either a kitten or a little fox, depending on one's imagination. The boy slowly walked down the main street of the village of Konoha toward his home, paying no attention to anything around him. Demons! People thought with disgust, throwing hateful glances in his direction. Almost everyone who saw the boy reacted the same way. The boy was Naruto Uzumaki, and he had long since grown used to those looks. After all, it happened every single day. But today was October 10th, and everyone seemed to believe it was their duty not only to glare at him with hatred, but also to throw something at his back. Even so, the small, untrained child managed to make it home mostly unharmed, dodging most of the stones thrown at him. Exhausted, he took off his shoes, walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, stared inside with a bored expression, sighed sadly, and closed it again. Looks like I'll have to go fishing again, the Uzumaki boy thought with a sigh. The orphan stipend was actually generous enough. 10,000 ryo was more than enough for one person to live comfortably for a month and still have money left over. The problem was that every merchant who saw Naruto immediately raised their prices, so all his money disappeared within the first week. Still, Naruto understood them. Everyone had lost something during the Nine Tails attack, whether family members' peace of mind or both. By now, Naruto had already realized that he was the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. It was hard not to understand when people constantly whispered monster behind his back. He had also learned about the Uzumaki clan. The last known Uzumaki in Konoha had been Kushina Uzumaki, the previous Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Of course, Naruto was still young and understood that this alone proved nothing. The Uzumaki clan had once been allied with Konoha, and he could simply be the child of some surviving branch member. But there were too many coincidences. Naruto's birthday was October 10th. The Nine Tails attacked on October 10th! And on that same day, the fourth Hokage's child was supposed to be born. There was also his appearance. The same face, the same eyes, the same endless blue abyss in them. A knock suddenly echoed through the apartment. Naruto got up from his bed, stretched lazily, and walked toward the door. "Good evening, Naruto-kun," greeted none other than the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. "Good evening, Hokage-sama," Naruto replied with a respectful bow. "Will you let me in?" the old man asked with a gentle smile. "Of course! Sorry, Hokage-sama!" Naruto quickly let him inside. "Sorry, I can only offer tea. The refrigerator is empty. I forgot to go shopping," the red-haired boy said calmly. "That's all right, Naruto-kun. I won't stay long," the old man replied. "I only came to tell you that you've been accepted into the Shinobi Academy. Come to the Academy courtyard tomorrow at 9 in the morning." Hearing this, Naruto barely reacted. It was as if the news meant nothing to him. "You're not surprised?" the old man asked, raising an eyebrow. "Not at all. It would be strange if the last known Uzumaki didn't become a shinobi," Naruto answered evenly. "I see." Hiruzen seemed satisfied with the answer. "Then I'll be going. Don't oversleep tomorrow, Naruto-kun." "I won't," Naruto replied with a faint smile. After seeing the Hokage out and closing the door behind him, Naruto fell into thought. As long as he could remember, the old man had always been nearby. Not like a real parent or grandfather, but Naruto could always feel his presence somewhere close, quietly protecting him. During his early childhood, Naruto had been a cheerful troublemaker. His smile never faded, and his endless energy could rival even grown genin. After all, he was an Uzumaki. Endurance and vitality ran in their blood. And despite everything, Naruto was gifted. He had learned to read at only a year and a half old, something almost unbelievable. The orphanage caretakers used to smile warmly at him all the time. How could they not? He was like a walking source of positivity and warmth. Everything changed once rumors spread that Naruto was the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. The caretakers stopped smiling. Instead, they avoided him with tight lips and cold eyes. The villagers no longer saw a child when they looked at him. They saw a monster. Even then, Naruto did not shut himself away. He tried desperately to restore the kindness people once showed him. But one incident changed everything. One day, while walking through the village as usual, Naruto suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back and collapsed to the ground. 3 grown adults attacked him like wild animals. They kicked and beat him across the chest, back, and legs. Naruto cried, unable to understand what was happening, yet not a single scream escaped his lips. He was saved only because one of the ANBU happened to arrive in time. After that day, Naruto changed completely. The bright, childish look in his eyes disappeared, replaced by a calm, sharp, piercing gaze. His emotions became difficult to read, though he was still only a child and sometimes lost control of himself. Whatever, the red-haired boy muttered quietly. I should sleep. I need to wake up early tomorrow. The next morning, Naruto woke up, completed his morning routine, got dressed, and, with his stomach growling because he never went fishing after all, headed toward the academy. As he walked through the streets, he continued receiving hateful stares from the villagers. Nothing ever changes, Naruto thought with a bored expression. Arriving at the academy 5 minutes before classes started, he calmly scanned the crowd, searching for anyone interesting. Naruto found a comfortable spot beneath the shade of a tree, sat down and quietly waited, lost in thought. Most likely, I'll end up in the first class with the clan heirs. After all, I'm an Uzumaki, and a Jinchuriki should be properly trained, the red-haired boy thought with a quiet snort. Suddenly, in a swirl of leaves, the Hokage appeared on the stage together with several guards. Hello, children. Today we have gathered here so that... Naruto stopped listening almost immediately. Leaning comfortably against the tree, he simply waited. Eventually, he heard his name. Uzumaki Naruto! Shouted a young man with a pineapple-like hairstyle and a scar across the bridge of his nose. Naruto lazily followed the instructor while silently observing the other students. Soon they arrived in a classroom. Find any empty seat. We'll introduce ourselves, and then you'll be free to go. My name is Iruka Umino. For the next 6 years, I'll be your teacher. After the students settled down, Iruka continued. I'll call your names one by one. Come to the front. Tell us what you like, dislike, your goals, and your dreams. One after another, students stepped forward. Some were boring, others more interesting. Naruto mentally noted several people in particular. Sasuke Uchiha, the second heir of the Uchiha clan, obsessed with surpassing his older brother. Shikamaru Nara, a boy with the same lazy eyes Naruto himself often had. A lazy cloud, Naruto concluded silently. Shino Aburame also stood out because of his strange manner of speaking. Of course, Naruto paid attention to the other students as well. Studying alongside clan heirs meant he could never afford to relax. Uzumaki Naruto! Iruka subtly grimaced. Too subtly for ordinary people to notice, but Naruto was far from ordinary. He was a genius. Even the fox's influence leaks through them, Naruto thought calmly as he walked toward the front of the room. Uzumaki Naruto, he began. What I like, probably ramen. What I dislike, stupid people. My dream is world peace, and my goal is to restore my clan. No one reacted, expected, Naruto thought. After all, most clan children were raised with discipline. Only a few students looked displeased, but none dared say anything on the first day. That's all for today. You're dismissed, Iruka announced once the introductions ended. While everyone else left noisily, Naruto approached the teacher's desk. Did you need something? Iruka asked without looking up. Yes. Could you tell me where the library is? Naruto asked politely. Second floor, room 204. Thank you. Goodbye. And so Naruto's academy life began. Within the first month, he had already read nearly every book in the library. In theory, he could have passed all academy exams immediately. Practical lessons required only a little training. The only real problem was techniques, and Naruto was already working on that. At that moment, he sat cross-legged with closed eyes on one of the academy training grounds, trying to sense chakra. Half an hour passed. Then suddenly, warmth spread through his stomach. Naruto felt energy flowing through his body. The chakra pathways, he realized instantly. Forming the concentration seal, Naruto noticed the chakra immediately respond, halting as if waiting for instructions. That was how Naruto first opened his chakra network. Later, it became clear that his reserves were enormous, even by Uzumaki standards. Because of that, his chakra control developed more slowly than usual. Still, Naruto was a genius. He mastered all three basic techniques, transformation, clone technique, and substitution, in only 2 attempts each. By the end of his first year at the academy, Naruto could already walk on vertical surfaces and even on water. Walking on trees was simple enough. Concentrate chakra in the feet and move. Water walking was harder. It required constantly releasing the right amount of chakra through the soles of the feet. Even so, Naruto mastered it quickly. He also became exceptionally skilled with kunai and shuriken. That training had been much more difficult, but he still succeeded. Naruto trained taijutsu as well. Although there had not yet been formal sparring matches, he believed his close combat skills were already above the average academy student. As for relationships with classmates, Naruto only truly interacted with Shikamaru and his friend Choji Akimichi. Choji was a cheerful, chubby boy who was always eating. Naruto wisely avoided mentioning his weight aloud. Naruto and Shikamaru bonded over their intelligence. Shikamaru was nearly as smart as Naruto himself, though he had never managed to win a single game of shogi against him. In truth, the academy no longer had much to teach Naruto. He had already surpassed its level long ago, and now possessed strength comparable to a weak Chunin. That was largely due to his recent training with Kakashi Hatake and his elemental affinity training. Naruto possessed 3 chakra natures: wind, lightning, water, an unbelievable result for someone so young. But there was also a drawback. Developing multiple elements at once would be much slower than focusing on only one. Now Naruto sat in the classroom waiting for team assignments. He was already 12 years old. He had inherited his father's height and natural attractiveness. If not for his reputation, he likely would have been the most popular boy in class. Over the past 6 years, his already long hair had grown even further, now reaching the middle of his back. He usually tied it into a loose bundle secured with hair sticks. Naruto wore a white kimono with wide sleeves. Sitting at his desk with a bored expression, he stared out the window while waiting for his Jonin instructor. As it turned out, that instructor would be Kakashi Hatake. Naruto remembered the first time he met the copy ninja. He had bought several chakra paper sheets to determine his elemental affinities. By then, Naruto already considered himself far beyond academy level and believed it was time to focus on elemental techniques. Arriving at the training ground, Naruto pulled out the papers from his sleeve one by one and infused them with chakra. The first crumpled, the second became wet, the third split cleanly in half. Lightning, water, wind. A good result, Naruto thought calmly. Then suddenly, he sensed foreign chakra behind him. A kunai instantly slipped from his sleeve into his hand. Naruto spun around and launched a lightning-fast strike at the supposed enemy. But the stranger blocked it effortlessly. Naruto's gaze caught the friendly smile of the one-eyed Shinobi. The forehead protector of Kakashi Hatake made him relax slightly, and he lowered the kunai. Kakashi Hatake, the silver-haired ninja introduced himself casually. You have 3 chakra natures. Want some help training them? Someone of your level never does anything without a reason, Naruto thought calmly. You need something from me? He asked directly. No, nothing like that, Kakashi replied lazily. I just wanted to help. Then I'll gladly accept your help, Naruto answered with a nod. Kakashi truly helped him enormously. Under his guidance, Naruto learned many elemental techniques that would have taken far longer to master alone. Everything seemed to come naturally to him. Kakashi also taught him the Shadow Clone technique, an extremely useful jutsu that allowed Naruto to train far more efficiently. An hour and a half had already passed since the other students had been taken away by their Jonin instructors, yet Kakashi still had not appeared. Knowing his teacher's habit of always being late, Naruto neither worried nor became angry. He simply waited. His eyes drifted toward his teammate Sasuke Uchiha. 2 years earlier, the entire Uchiha clan had been massacred. Sasuke had disappeared for a week afterward, and when he returned, he had become distant, gloomy, and silent. Sitting at his desk now, his empty gaze remained fixed on the window. Nothing has really changed. He's just even more tired now, Naruto concluded. Then there was their second teammate, Sakura Haruno. Dead weight, Naruto thought. Perhaps harsh, but in his eyes it was true. At the moment, Sakura contributed nothing, and her blind devotion to Sasuke only made it worse. The classroom door suddenly slid open, revealing the one-eyed Shinobi wearing a mask over the lower half of his face. His sharp gaze moved across all 3 students. "My first impression," Kakashi said lazily, "is that I don't like you." He gestured toward the hallway. "Let's go to the roof. It's stuffy in here." Exchanging glances, the 3 students followed him upstairs. "Kakashi-sensei never changes!" Naruto thought with an amused snort. By now, he was already used to his strange behavior. After reaching the rooftop, the students sat on the stairs at Kakashi's silent instruction. "Tell me about yourselves," Kakashi began. "What you like, dislike, your dreams and goals." "Can you give us an example first, Kakashi-sensei?" Sakura asked after briefly glancing at Sasuke. "Fine," Kakashi replied. "I'm Hatake Kakashi, a Jonin of Konoha. What I like and dislike is none of your business. As for dreams and goals, I'll keep those to myself." He didn't say anything except his name, Sasuke and Sakura both thought in annoyance. Naruto, however, already knew Kakashi well enough not to react. He knew Kakashi spent long hours at the memorial stone dedicated to fallen shinobi. He knew Kakashi loved reading inappropriate novels. He even knew random details like the fact that Kakashi preferred walking around his apartment without his mask. "You next," Kakashi said, looking at Sakura. "I'm Sakura Haruno. What I like." Her eyes immediately drifted towards Sasuke. "What I dislike, I don't know." Another glance towards Sasuke. "My dream." She squealed happily, while clearly imagining their future wedding. "I see," Kakashi replied flatly. "Next." Naruto spoke calmly. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like training, fish, and many other things. It's hard to choose just one. My dream is world peace. My goal is to restore my clan." "Very good! And you?" Kakashi turned towards Sasuke. "I'm Uchiha Sasuke," Sasuke said coldly. "What I like and dislike is none of your concern. I don't have a dream, but I do have a goal." His eyes darkened. "To kill one person!" "Well then," Kakashi said with an eye smile. "Nice to meet you all. Congratulations on passing the Genin exam. But don't celebrate yet." The 3 looked at him carefully. "Tomorrow, you'll face a final test that will determine whether you truly become Genin." "But we already are Genin!" Sakura protested loudly. "I know," Kakashi replied with a shrug. "Too many people passed this year, so they decided to add another test to weed out the weak." He stood up. "Meet me tomorrow at Training Ground 7 at 9 in the morning. And don't eat breakfast, unless you want to throw up." With a puff of smoke, Kakashi disappeared. "See ya," Naruto muttered, while casually climbing over the rooftop railing. Ever since he became self-aware, Naruto had realized one thing. He was far smarter than other people. Everything he tried came naturally to him. He learned drawing after only a handful of sketches. He learned to read in just a few lessons. At first, Naruto openly showed his talents, believing people would praise him for it. Reality proved harsher. Instead of praise, he received criticism and irritation. As a child, he could not understand why. Eventually, he simply stopped showing his abilities altogether. Sometimes, strangers on the street would strike him for no reason at all. From that, Naruto learned another lesson. People often hurt others simply because they can. So, Naruto began suppressing his emotions before they could fully form. It was easier that way. Better. Once, he became attached to a tiny black kitten. He cared for it, fed it, and protected it. A week later, Naruto found the kitten dead in a ditch. After that, he decided never to grow attached to anyone again. Didn't work, though, Naruto thought quietly. After all, Kakashi still mattered to him, even if Naruto refused to fully admit it. Kakashi was not only one of Konoha's strongest jonin, he was also one of the few people who genuinely treated Naruto like a human being. Now Naruto walked toward the Hokage residence. It was finally time to deal with his inheritance. According to Konoha law, any shinobi who became a genin was legally emancipated and therefore eligible to claim clan inheritance rights. At the moment, Naruto technically held the title of Prince of the Uzumaki clan, not clan head yet. That rank required reaching at least Chunin. Climbing the stairs, Naruto knocked on the Hokage's office door and entered after hearing permission. "Good afternoon, Hokage-sama!" Naruto greeted politely. "Good afternoon, Naruto-kun!" replied Hiruzen Sarutobi with a soft smile. "I'm here regarding my inheritance," Naruto said calmly. Hiruzen exhaled slowly and glanced briefly at the portrait of Minato Namikaze hanging nearby. "You figured it out then? Did you really think I wouldn't?" Naruto replied evenly. "It was fairly obvious, but that isn't important right now. I'm a genin now, which means I'm legally emancipated. I request all documents concerning my inheritance, as well as the keys to my family home." Silence filled the office. Hiruzen studied Naruto carefully. He really is just like Minato, the old Hokage thought. "Very well," Hiruzen finally said. "You can collect the documents from the registry office. As for the house..." He pulled a set of keys from his desk drawer. "You'll find it in the Uzumaki district." Naruto bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Hokage-sama!" After collecting the documents, Naruto headed toward the Uzumaki district, wondering how his life would change after this. First of all, I'll finally have proper training grounds, and I'll be able to study fuinjutsu seriously. If I master sealing techniques, I might even be able to protect the village from the Nine Tails someday. The fox itself had never tried contacting him, and Naruto had no desire to speak with it either. After all, it killed his parents. Eventually, Naruto reached the district and stopped. At the end of the road stood a large mansion. A small smile appeared on his face. The Uzumaki district was beautiful. Identical traditional houses, straight streets lined with sakura trees, benches, fountains. The entire place felt peaceful and warm. Though the barrier definitely needs repairs, Naruto noted mentally. I don't want random people wandering in here. First, I need to learn fuinjutsu properly. Entering the mansion, Naruto removed his shoes and began exploring his new home. Or rather, his new estate. The building was enormous. 2 floors and 12 rooms, including a master bedroom, guest rooms, and what was clearly meant to be a child's room. Stopping before a shelf filled with photographs, Naruto felt his chest tighten painfully, though his expression never changed. Mom, Dad. He stared silently at the smiling faces in the photographs. Naruto eventually entered his father's office. Just as expected, there was a sealed safe protected by blood recognition. Most likely, Kushina herself had created the seal or taught Minato how to do it. After placing a drop of blood on the barrier, the seal dissolved immediately. Inside were countless scrolls, techniques, and books on fuinjutsu. Naruto decided to leave everything for tomorrow. After washing up and changing into pajamas, he climbed into his parents' bed. For the first time in a long while, a warm smile appeared on his face as he quietly fell asleep. Tomorrow. Everything tomorrow. Snap! Waking up at 8 in the morning and finishing his usual routine, Naruto Uzumaki headed toward Training Ground 7. What kind of test could Kakashi prepare for them? Naruto wondered on the way there. Too little information. Though considering Konoha's obsession with teamwork and the so-called will of fire, it'll probably involve cooperation somehow. Upon arriving, Naruto greeted his teammates with short nods and sat down to wait. They probably won't want to work with me anyway, he thought calmly. Back at the academy, I never stood out. They don't know my abilities, and they definitely don't trust me. Half an hour passed while Naruto analyzed possible combat scenarios and tactical approaches. Kakashi still had not arrived. Sakura already looked ready to explode from irritation when suddenly, in a swirl of leaves, Kakashi Hatake finally appeared. Yo! He greeted lazily, raising one hand. Hanging from his belt were 2 small bells. Your task is to take these from me. Sensei, there are only 2 bells! Sakura Haruno immediately shouted. Good observation! Kakashi replied casually. That means one of you will definitely fail and return to the academy! What happens if none of us succeed? Sasuke Uchiha asked without emotion. I tie you all to the posts and eat lunch in front of you. Another eye smile. You have until noon. When this alarm rings, the test ends. A small alarm clock appeared in his hand with a puff of smoke. And one more thing, Kakashi added casually. You'll need to come at me with the intent to kill. Otherwise, you won't pass. But that's dangerous, Sakura protested. The test starts now! The genin immediately scattered into hiding. Only Naruto instantly understood the real purpose behind the exam. Teamwork. Still, he had no intention of explaining it to the others. If they don't figure it out themselves, they'll never truly accept my help anyway, he thought. Meanwhile, Sasuke decided the test would be the perfect opportunity to measure his own strength. He still had no idea that Kakashi was one of Konoha's strongest jonin. In reality, Sasuke had no chance of defeating him, or even touching him. Bursting from the bushes, Sasuke launched a barrage of kunai and shuriken. Kakashi casually dodged everything without even lifting his eyes from his book. Suddenly, Sasuke formed hand seals. Fire style! Great fireball technique! A massive sphere of flames rushed toward Kakashi. A fire technique at 12 years old? Impressive, Kakashi thought. I win, Sasuke smirked. Then hands burst from the ground beneath him. Earth style, headhunter jutsu. Sasuke was dragged underground until only his head remained exposed. That was reckless, Kakashi lectured calmly. Against a jonin, you never had a chance. Sasuke remained silent. Moving on, Kakashi spotted a flash of pink hair hiding nearby. Approaching silently from behind Sakura, he lifted his forehead protector, the Sharingan. A moment later, Sakura collapsed into a genjutsu. That leaves Naruto, Kakashi thought. Meanwhile, Naruto had already completed his preparations. He appeared directly in front of Kakashi. Giving up stealth? Kakashi asked with raised brows. Naruto didn't answer. Suddenly, kunai flew at Kakashi from the left side, while Naruto simultaneously formed hand seals. Water style! A powerful stream of water burst forward, forcing Kakashi to leap away. Wine style vacuum bullets! The attack continued from another direction. Kakashi landed directly on the surface of the nearby lake. The trap is complete, Naruto thought calmly. Good strategy, Kakashi admitted aloud. Against an average chunin it might have worked, but I'm a jonin. His voice suddenly sounded from directly behind Naruto. Secret technique, 1,000 years of death. At that instant, Naruto felt something strange. Danger. Pure instinct exploded through his body. The entire training ground shook beneath an overwhelming wave of killing intent. Behind Naruto appeared 9 glowing crimson chakra chains that intercepted Kakashi's attack instantly. Naruto slowly turned around with a disturbingly calm smile. Sweat dripped down Kakashi's face. He was already preparing to retreat when Naruto spoke softly. Where are you going, Kakashi-sensei? The chains moved faster than Kakashi could react. After several extremely painful minutes for the Jonin, the test finally ended. Kakashi eventually announced that all three had failed because each of them fought alone. However, he offered them another chance. He even allowed them lunch, except Sakura. She performed the worst, Kakashi stated lazily, so she doesn't eat. After leaving the students alone, Naruto and Sasuke quietly pushed food towards Sakura anyway. The girl blushed deeply as her stomach growled loudly. "You know what I'll do to you if you break the rules?" Kakashi's voice suddenly echoed behind them. Sakura panicked. Naruto simply looked at him calmly. Then Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. "You pass!" The three stared at him. "In the Shinobi world," Kakashi explained, "those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash." He looked over Team 7 proudly. "From today onward, you are officially Team 7. The next 3 months became endless low-rank missions, pulling weeds, catching cats, cleaning farms, escorting civilians. By the second day, Naruto decided it was far more efficient to send shadow clones to complete missions while the real him trained elsewhere. Kakashi almost certainly noticed, but said nothing. During those months, Naruto trained relentlessly. His fuinjutsu improved at terrifying speed. The blood of the Uzumaki clan clearly showed itself. They had once been the greatest sealing masters in history. Naruto could already create seals up to A rank level, including the 5-element seal. Soon, he felt he would fully master the 8 trigram seal as well. He also studied elemental techniques from the scrolls left by his parents. Fortunately, his chakra natures matched theirs perfectly. Water and lightning from Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Within only 3 days, Naruto mastered the Rasengan. Everything required to learn it had already been described in his father's scrolls. F of X equals Rasengan chakra rotation. A month and a half later, Naruto finally began constructing the formula for the Flying Thunder God technique. "I need symbols for movement, speed, protection," he thought carefully. After 2 weeks of non-stop work, he succeeded. The formula consisted of 4 linked kanji concepts: movement, speed, protection, time. The time component created a tiny half-second delay after teleportation, allowing Naruto to analyze the battlefield before acting. For Naruto's mind, half a second was more than enough. The final month before their next mission was spent refining his body, improving elemental techniques, and mastering instant seal placement through touch. Then Team 7 finally received their first true C-rank mission: escort a bridge builder named Tazuna safely home. Naruto packed his supplies into scrolls and headed toward Konoha's main gate. He wasn't nervous about the mission itself. He had already surpassed Genin level long ago. With Flying Thunder God and advanced fuinjutsu, he estimated himself somewhere around Elite Chunin, perhaps even low Jonin assassin level. "Why are you carrying scrolls?" Sakura complained loudly. "Storage seals!" Naruto answered flatly. Team 7 departed. The journey toward the land of waves took several days. The summer heat reached nearly 32 degrees Celsius, though Naruto barely noticed it thanks to temperature regulation seals woven into his clothing. 5 hours into the trip, Sakura had already started pestering Kakashi with endless questions about famous shinobi and great villages. Then Naruto noticed a puddle in the middle of the road. "The weather's been dry for days. Trap." He immediately became alert. Kakashi noticed and mentally praised him, deciding not to interfere so the Genin could experience their first real battle. The moment the team passed the puddle, chains exploded behind them. 2 hidden shinobi attacked. Kakashi vanished in a spray of water. Substitution. Naruto instantly spun around, throwing pre-sealed kunai while creating shadow clones. The clones engaged one enemy, while Sasuke intercepted the other. Naruto's clone dispersed, but only after forcing the enemy into an opening. Seeing the second attacker move towards Sasuke with a raised kunai, Naruto reacted instantly. Flying Thunder God. He appeared beside Sasuke and slammed a Rasengan directly into the enemy's skull. The man died immediately. Naruto froze for a moment, staring silently at his own hands. I killed someone, but strangely, he felt nothing. No disgust, no satisfaction, only certainty that it had been necessary. You did well, Kakashi said quietly, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Sensei, is it normal not to feel anything after killing someone? Yes, Kakashi answered after a pause. Sometimes it is. Sasuke silently acknowledged that Naruto had saved his life. Sakura, pale and shaken, suddenly realized what being a shinobi truly meant. Not glory, not flashy techniques. Killing! After interrogating the surviving attacker, Kakashi learned the truth. Tazuna had lied. The mission was no longer C rank. The enemy behind everything was the shipping tycoon Gato. You understand these are still just genin, Kakashi warned Tazuna. The bridge builder desperately begged them to continue. I'll learn my father's techniques, Naruto suddenly stated calmly. Kakashi's visible eye widened slightly. That changes things, he admitted. After a vote, Team 7 unanimously agreed to continue the mission. They crossed the lake hidden inside a dense mist until finally arriving in the land of waves. Soon afterward, they encountered their first true opponent, Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. A gigantic sword embedded itself into a tree before the tall swordsman appeared atop it. So you're the famous Sharingan Kakashi, Zabuza mocked. Kakashi raised his forehead protector, revealing the Sharingan beneath. Sasuke stared in shock. Why does Kakashi have a Sharingan? Hidden mist technique. Thick fog swallowed the battlefield instantly. Killing intent flooded the area. Sakura and Sasuke nearly collapsed beneath the pressure. Naruto formed hand seals immediately. Wind style, great breakthrough. Y equals wind pressure dispersion. The mist dispersed, revealing several water clones. Protect Tazuna! Kakashi ordered before charging at the real Zabuza. The battle intensified rapidly. Eventually, Kakashi became trapped inside a water prison. Naruto and Sasuke acted together instantly. Using transformed shuriken tactics and flying thunder god coordination, Naruto appeared behind Zabuza and struck him with a Rasengan powerful enough to shatter stone. Kakashi escaped immediately afterward and finished Zabuza with Lightning Blade. I equals Lightning Blade Chakra Concentration. A masked shinobi suddenly appeared and attacked Kakashi in desperation. Naruto intercepted him first. One precise slash. The masked shinobi collapsed dead. That's enough, Naruto said coldly. After sealing the enemy bodies into scrolls, Team 7 escorted the exhausted Kakashi to Tazuna's home. Over the next several days, Naruto continued training constantly while guarding the bridge. Kakashi eventually began teaching him Lightning Blade properly. Naruto mastered it almost instantly! Then he improved it. Combining the rotation principles of the Rasengan with concentrated lightning chakra, Naruto created a completely new technique. Rasengan. F of X equals Raiton Rasengan chakra rotation. The technique blasted straight through solid rock before causing the entire cliffside to crack apart. Kakashi stared silently. An A-rank technique created by a 12-year-old. Several days later, while guarding Tazuna's family, Naruto killed 2 bandits, instantly using Flying Thunder God. When he finally arrived at the bridge construction site afterward, he found Kakashi and Sasuke exhausted from battle. Then slow clapping echoed through the mist. Gato appeared with dozens of armed mercenaries behind him. You shinobi killed the men I hired, Gato sneered. But can you handle all of these people in your current condition? Everyone understood the situation immediately. They were exhausted, outnumbered. Kakashi tried to stand despite his chakra depletion. Then Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. Sit down, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said coldly. I'll handle this. The bandits burst out laughing. A brat? What's he gonna do? They mocked among themselves. Naruto silently unsealed several 3-pronged kunai. Sasuke and Sakura immediately recognized them. The stories surrounding those kunai were infamous, but neither of them had ever imagined Naruto could actually use that technique. It wasn't that he had hidden it before. They had simply never noticed. Naruto threw 5 kunai into the crowd and formed several hand seals. Shadow Clone Shuriken Technique! Around 50 kunai flew toward the bandits. Not a single one hit anyone. The bandits laughed again. Naruto slowly lowered himself onto one knee and looked coldly at the crowd of trash before him. They could hardly even be called human. I'll end this in an instant. A flash of crimson lightning exploded across the battlefield. Then the slaughter began. It was a mad, bloody dance. Heads flew one after another while the confused bandits died screaming. Thunder roared through the air. Sakura and Sasuke turned pale. An instant later, Naruto reappeared in the exact same spot where he had been standing before, without a single drop of blood on his cloak. That's everyone, Naruto said calmly. Kakashi turned toward him. Well done, Uzumaki, but your clones could at least help clean the trash off the bridge. A week later, the bridge was successfully completed. People began calling it the Bloody Bridge, because everyone remembered the rivers of blood that had flowed across it. Team 7 returned to the village far faster than they had left it. The moment they entered Konoha, they separated and headed home, while Kakashi immediately went to report everything to the Hokage. The third Hokage thoughtfully stroked his beard. The Chunin exams will begin soon. Honestly, there's nothing for him to gain there, but additional strength for the village never hurts. After all, it's a political event as much as an exam. On the other hand, Naruto had clearly surpassed the level of a Genin. Hiruzen would even say he was already beyond most Chunin. I could promote him straight to Tokubetsu Jonin? The old man muttered thoughtfully. Kakashi nodded. Yes, maybe even Anbu. Meanwhile, Naruto himself was in a rather depressed state. He had killed nearly 200 people. For the first time, he began to understand the burden his father must have carried. Yet at the same time, he was relieved that his team, especially Kakashi, had survived unharmed. Naruto quietly headed toward Training Ground 7. He wanted to continue improving the Rasengan, so he created hundreds of shadow clones. Half trained the technique itself, a quarter meditated to improve chakra control, and the rest rested so he would not collapse once the clones dispersed. Just then, an ANBU operative wearing a cat mask appeared before him. The Hokage requests your presence. I'll be there shortly, Naruto answered calmly. Leaving the clones behind, he slowly walked toward the Hokage residence. He already suspected why he had been summoned, so there was no need to hurry. Reaching the office, Naruto knocked 3 times and entered after hearing permission. You called for me, Hokage-sama? Yes, Naruto-kun, sit down. Naruto silently took the offered seat. You already know why I summoned you, don't you? Hiruzen asked with a kind smile. I assume it concerns my strength, Naruto replied. You probably think I'm too strong to remain a Genin, that I've already surpassed Chunin level and deserve a higher rank. You're correct, Hiruzen admitted. But I also wanted to offer you a position in the ANBU. I refuse. The Hokage raised an eyebrow, so Naruto continued. As the future head of my clan, I cannot become someone's direct subordinate. Ordinary shinobi service is different. Shinobi are essentially mercenaries, but ANBU answer directly to you personally. I see. The old man smiled again. That's exactly what I expected you to say. The Chunin exams are approaching soon. You'll have to participate. It will improve the village's reputation. Naruto tilted his head slightly. And in the finals, may I introduce myself as Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto? Hiruzen's eyes widened slightly in surprise. I don't think there will be any problems with that. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Am I dismissed? Yes, of course, Naruto-kun. Naruto vanished in a flash of crimson lightning. A week later, Kakashi appeared before Team 7. You've all been nominated for the Chunin exams. Here are your application forms. Be at the academy tomorrow morning at 9, room 302. The moment he finished speaking, Kakashi disappeared. The team exchanged glances and silently went home. After the conversation with the Hokage, another week passed. Naruto finally succeeded in completing a lightning-style Rasengan. The sphere was pure white and crackled with lightning. Later, he discovered he could throw it, and more interestingly, it vanished mid-flight. Naruto named it Vanishing Rasengan. That day, Naruto slowly walked through the village, admiring its beauty. Eventually, his gaze rose toward the Hokage monument and rested on the face of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, his father. A trace of sadness crossed Naruto's face, but he quickly shook it off. His father had died a hero. Suddenly, a scream echoed from a nearby street. Naruto instantly rushed toward the sound. There, he saw two shinobi from the hidden sand village. One was a boy in a strange cat-like outfit with face paint. The other was a beautiful blonde girl carrying a giant fan on her back. "You little bastard! You stained my outfit!" the boy shouted while grabbing a child. "Let him go!" Naruto said coldly. The sand shinobi turned toward him. "And who the hell are you?" Before he could finish, Naruto appeared directly in front of him at blinding speed. "Release him, or you'll regret it!" "Kankuro, enough! You're embarrassing our village!" The voice came from a nearby tree. A red-haired boy stood upside down on a branch. Dark rings surrounded his eyes, and the kanji for love was carved into his forehead. "Okay," Kankuro muttered nervously. He released the child and immediately backed away. Tamari followed after him. "We'll meet again during the exams!" she called over her shoulder. Naruto said nothing. Ignoring the child's gratitude, he teleported home. He was exhausted. The old man with long white hair stood behind the divider, wearing nothing but a towel. That part wasn't surprising. They were at the hot springs after all. Naruto, as a member of the Uzumaki clan that respected women, no, worshipped women, could not tolerate such disrespect toward them. He quietly walked up behind the pervert and coughed a few times. The man simply waved him off. Naruto's temper flared. He wanted to slam the old man face first into the wall, but to his surprise, his strikes were stopped effortlessly. "Kid, why are you attacking me?" the old man asked. "Nothing! Peeping on women is disgusting!" Naruto replied coldly, staring him in the eyes. "And why do you care? As a man of the Uzumaki clan, I won't tolerate that kind of treatment toward women." "Uzumaki, huh?" the old man muttered thoughtfully. "Your name wouldn't happen to be Naruto Uzumaki, would it?" Naruto was caught off guard for a moment, but quickly regained composure. "How do you know me?" "Let me introduce myself." In an instant, the man's entire presence changed. Before, he looked like a complete fool and clown, but someone like that could never have stopped Naruto's attacks so casually. "I am the great Jiraiya, the Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku," he declared dramatically. Recognition flashed in Naruto's eyes. "Godfather?" Naruto said almost quietly. "Hey there, godson." A month passed since Jiraiya entered Naruto's life, and during that month, many things changed. Naruto became more alive. Before meeting Jiraiya, he could have been called the perfect shinobi, a living weapon. But day after day, the flame of life slowly returned to his eyes. He became kinder. It was doubtful he could now calmly slaughter an entire village of bandits like he had done a week before meeting Jiraiya, even if it had been on Konoha's orders. Still, Naruto remained intelligent, calculating, and dangerously capable. What he lacked, according to Jiraiya, was experience in ordinary human things, relationships, emotions, understanding people. His lonely childhood and isolation from others had left him emotionally stunted. Step by step, Jiraiya tore down Naruto's walls of distrust and detachment, earning not only his respect, but genuine familial affection. In that short time, Jiraiya became the closest person Naruto had ever had. Now Naruto walked toward Konoha's main gates. He was leaving the village for a year and a half, yet strangely he felt no sadness. There was no one in the village who could truly make him miss home, because he wasn't leaving alone. His godfather, the man Naruto secretly started calling father in his thoughts, was going with him. Naruto himself didn't understand how Jiraiya had earned his trust so quickly, but he wasn't unhappy about it. Quite the opposite. Still, somewhere deep in his heart lingered a painful thought. For a whole year and a half, he wouldn't see his white-eyed angel again. Hinata Hyuga was 4 years old when her mother died, giving birth to Hanabi. That tragedy changed her deeply. She became quieter, more insecure, more withdrawn. She loved her mother dearly, and losing her left a wound that never truly healed. Her relationship with her father gradually worsened too. Don't misunderstand. Hinata loved him, and he loved her. But after her mother's death, it felt as if an invisible wall had formed between them. At first it was subtle, but as years passed, it became obvious. By the time Hinata entered the academy, Hiashi had already begun losing faith in his eldest daughter. He saw no strength in her, no iron will worthy of the future head of the Hyuga clan. Hinata was kind, gentle, shy, and uncertain of herself. On the day she entered the academy, the clan escort assigned to her was late. After waiting half an hour, Hinata decided to walk home alone since she knew the way. Halfway there, a group of boys a few years older stopped her. They mocked her strange eyes and accused her of acting arrogant in class. They forced her to apologize. Hinata was terrified. She knew she couldn't fight back. She apologized, but it wasn't enough for them. They slowly approached her, intending to hurt her. Then a voice came from behind her. "Leave her alone!" "What's it to you?" the leader sneered. "I hate seeing weak people gang up on someone weaker!" The boys burst out laughing. "Oh look, a hero!" "Back off from the girl nicely," the boy warned. They didn't listen. A fight started. The boy had no chance against several older academy students. He had only just started training as a shinobi while they already had years of experience. But even so, he managed to scare them off at the cost of getting hurt himself. Are you okay?" Hinata asked after the boys ran away. Now she could finally look at him properly. He was a red-haired boy around her age. He was handsome, and the whisker marks on his cheeks gave him a strangely wild charm. Realizing that thought made Hinata blush immediately. "Yeah, thanks," she said shyly. The boy smiled warmly. The little girl's heart skipped a beat. "No problem!" Hinata wanted to ask the name of her savior, but before she could, her escort finally arrived. The man rudely ordered the boy away from her. Hinata noticed how unpleasantly Naruto reacted to the tone, but surprisingly he stayed silent and walked off. That moment remained engraved in the little girl's heart forever. She often imagined him as a prince who had saved her from villains, and who would someday marry her. Life returned to normal. Hinata and her savior ended up in the same academy class. She watched him often and admired how strong he was. She saw the hateful looks villagers gave him. She saw how much it hurt him. She watched him slowly hide behind cold indifference. Academy studies weren't difficult for Hinata. She wasn't the best student, but she wasn't the worst either. Her prince, Naruto-kun, was among the top students despite never being trained properly. Then came team assignments. Hinata secretly hoped she and Naruto would end up together. They didn't. She was placed on Team 8 with Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburame under Kurenai Yuhi. Luckily, she liked all of them. Her teammates were kind and genuine, and Kurenai-sensei treated her warmly. Days turned into endless cycles of training, D-rank missions, more training, and exhausted sleep. Hinata wanted to become stronger. She refused to stay weak while Naruto-kun kept moving forward. Then rumors spread through Konoha that Team 7 had defeated one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Hinata felt proud. Proud that Naruto had survived. Proud that he had defeated such a terrifying enemy. When the Chunin exams were announced, Hinata doubted herself at first. But remembering Naruto gave her courage to participate. The first 2 stages were easy enough for Team 8, thanks to their tracking abilities. The hardest part was surviving the Forest of Death. which took them 3 days. During the preliminary matches, Hinata worried constantly about her opponent. Please don't let it be Naruto-kun. Instead, Naruto fought Kiba. Hinata didn't even know who she wanted to win. But when she saw Naruto effortlessly defeat Kiba despite his clan techniques, she could only stare in admiration. Then came her own match. Hinata Hyuga versus Neji Hyuga. Her heart sank. She knew she couldn't beat him, but she refused to surrender. Not in front of Naruto-kun. As Neji struck her over and over, Hinata kept looking toward Naruto, searching for support and finding it. Every time their eyes met, warmth spread through her chest. Then Neji raised his hand for the final strike. Hinata froze. He intended to kill her. But before the blow could land, Naruto appeared instantly and caught Neji's arm. Once again, Naruto saved her. On the third stage of the exams, Hinata was happier than ever. Maybe they really had a chance together. Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage, a true prince. Every time people discussed why Neji hated the main family, Hinata blushed furiously, especially when Naruto looked at her afterward. And Naruto himself became strangely distracted after that moment. After the exams, rumors spread throughout their generation that Naruto had become a Tokubetsu Jonin at only 12 years old. Hinata resolved to grow stronger no matter what, so she could stand beside him someday. Then her heart shattered when she heard Naruto was leaving the village for a year and a half. But she refused to despair. She would wait for him, no matter how long it took. The year and a half passed quickly. Naruto traveled through many lands with Jiraiya and trained relentlessly. Every week he refreshed thousands of shadow clones training in the crow summoning world. Over that time, Naruto grew terrifyingly powerful. He could now defeat Jiraiya in 7 out of 10 sparring matches. And Jiraiya did not hold back. Naruto developed a new S-rank technique based on the Rasengan, the wind release, Rasen Shuriken. When thrown, it exploded into countless microscopic wind blades capable of destroying an opponent on a cellular level. He also mastered Sage Mode on Mount Miyaboku. When activated, orange pigmentation appeared around his eyes and his pupils became horizontal. At only 15 years old, Naruto had already reached the strength of a Kage. Now he and Jiraiya approached Konoha's gates again. Naruto smiled as he looked around the village. Nothing had changed. The buildings were the same. Even the villagers still glared at him with hatred. Inside the Hokage's office, Hiruzen was relieved Naruto's training was finally over. The political situation between the great nations was becoming unstable. Akatsuki's movements were unpredictable, and Naruto was too valuable to remain unprepared. To test Naruto's strength, Hiruzen suggested a sparring match against an ANBU operative. Naruto smirked. They're too weak for me. Hiruzen merely raised an eyebrow. Then tomorrow at 9, you'll spar with me personally. Naruto was stunned. There was no way he could refuse that challenge. After leaving the Hokage's office, Jiraiya headed toward the hot springs, while Naruto decided to walk through the village alone. Then his eyes landed on a girl. He would recognize her anywhere. The one who appeared in his dreams almost every night. The one who had quietly taken over his heart. Hinata Hyuga. She had grown more beautiful over the past year and a half. Her hair was longer now, and although her clothes were still loose-fitting, they suited her much better. Naruto decided to greet her. The moment Hinata noticed him, her face turned bright red. Naruto-kun! And then she fainted on the spot. Naruto barely caught her in time. Completely confused, he carried her beneath a nearby tree and carefully rested her head on his lap so her neck wouldn't hurt. He stayed there for nearly an hour, gently playing with her hair and stroking her cheek with his thumb while warmth spread through his chest. Eventually, Hinata woke up. Realizing where she was, she turned crimson again. Beautiful girls fainting the moment they see me. Is my charm really that dangerous? Naruto teased lightly. Maybe. I just like lying here, Hinata whispered with surprising courage. Naruto didn't remove his hand from her hair. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Neither wanted to ruin the moment. Eventually, Hinata quietly asked what Naruto had been doing all this time, and from there, the conversation flowed naturally. They learned more about each other than ever before. Naruto finally realized that Hinata had been the girl he saved on his very first academy day, and Hinata realized there was nothing to fear anymore. The boy she loved was right here beside her, gently running his fingers through her hair. But eventually evening came, and they had to part ways. Before leaving, Naruto awkwardly asked if she wanted to go on a walk with him tomorrow. Blushing brightly, Hinata agreed. They walked away in opposite directions. Naruto was happy the girl he loved didn't hate him.
And Hinata was happy that the boy she loved had finally noticed her.
A week after the date, Naruto's mood hadn't improved. His heart still felt like a stone lodged somewhere it didn't belong. Hinata had not lifted the order keeping him out of the Hyuga district. They wouldn't even hear his name at the gate. He was walking through the park, the same park where he and Hinata had strolled together just over a week ago in what now felt like another lifetime, when he noticed two people kissing near one of the benches. For a fraction of a second, his eyes registered lavender and his chest seized. Then he looked again. It wasn't her. He walked on without stopping. But the image had already done its damage. He made it home, sat on the edge of his bed, and stared at nothing. What was I thinking? He told himself. She's the heiress of a great clan. I'm the heir of a dead one. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the warmth was gone. In its place was the cold, flat gaze that had been his face to the world before his godfather had ever found him. The gaze of a shinobi who would remove any obstacle without regret if ordered to. He rose from the bed, crossed to the window, and leaped across the rooftops toward the Hokage's residence. He didn't waste time with preamble when he arrived. "Send me to the front!" The Hokage looked up from his desk. "Naruto-kun, I can't do that. There is no front yet. We only just received official confirmation that hostilities have begun. Mobilization is underway." "Then send me as one of the first." "I cannot promise you that. You understand what you represent to this village." "I understand that I'm also the strongest shinobi in it," Naruto said evenly. "I'll be more useful at the border than I am here." Hiruzen winced. He looked at Naruto for a long moment, and Naruto could see the old man's internal battle playing out behind his eyes. "Fine," the Hokage said at last, exhaling. "So be it. But if you don't come back, I will personally be furious at you. In 1 week, you will report to the northwestern border post. The forces there are primarily dealing with stone shinobi." "Understood, Hokage-sama." Exactly 1 week later, Naruto passed through the village gates and ran for the border. He covered the distance in 12 hours. The border post wasn't much to look at. A modest fortified camp with canvas tents and low walls. With the outbreak of war, roughly 100 Leaf Shinobi had been stationed there. Everyone knew that wasn't enough, but reinforcements had been promised. What they received was 1 Shinobi of Jonin rank. The disappointment in the camp was visible, but Naruto didn't give them time to dwell on it. Within hours of arriving, he had assessed every soldier's condition, memorized the attack patterns the camp had experienced, and begun quietly reorganizing the defensive rotations. 2 days later, just before dawn, a sentry's shout woke the camp. Naruto was already awake. He read the situation in seconds. 40 attackers, relying on the element of surprise, not particularly strong individually. The battle was short. The Leaf Shinobi each picked a target. Naruto picked several simultaneously. None of the attackers posed any real threat to him. They were dispatched so cleanly that some of the survivors surrendered on the spot. Those were taken prisoner and questioned, yielding intelligence on enemy numbers and planned maneuvers. After that, the camp walked on edge. Even Naruto felt it. It was a different kind of tension from anything he'd experienced before. Not the clean focus of combat, but something heavier. Around one of the fires one evening, a shinobi named Ryuji spoke quietly about his wife and daughter. The girl was 2 years old. He wasn't going back, and he knew it. Naruto watched the man's face and understood something he couldn't put into words yet. War didn't care about the people it ate. 2 more weeks passed. 2 more attacks were repelled. A second reconnaissance unit failed to return. Naruto volunteered to handle scouting personally. Using the Hiraishin seals his father had once scattered across half the continent, he was able to pinpoint enemy formations faster and more accurately than any sensor could. He was not technically a sensor himself. That ability only surfaced fully in Sage mode. But in that state, the information came to him like sound through still water. Clear, complete, and impossible to miss. Then came the message: Sector 6 is under attack. Our forces are outnumbered. Move immediately. Sector 6 was a strategic choke point. Taking it would give the Stone Cloud Alliance 1/3 of the path to victory. Naruto ran. He arrived to find the defending unit pale and shaking. Their commander looked at him the way a drowning man looks at a piece of driftwood. They sent us 1 person? 1 is enough, Naruto said. Then, before the commander could argue, when I give the signal, throw your kunai toward the enemy line. He handed out marked kunai, special seals burned into the handles, invisible unless you knew what to look for. Everyone recognized the technique. The whispers moved through the unit like fire. Hiraishin, the flying thunder god, like his father. We're saved. Naruto said nothing. He closed his eyes for a moment. 1,000 lives on the other side of that tree line. Men who had families, faces he would never see. He didn't enjoy this. He never had, but he understood what was right. Now, he said. The kunai flew. Thunder rolled across the sky without a cloud in sight. Crimson lightning erupted across the enemy formation. Explosions bloomed in the dark like dying stars. It lasted 5 minutes. When the dust cleared, there were hundreds of bodies. The Leaf survivors stood in silence. Then someone started cheering. Then everyone was cheering. Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, truly his father's son. After that battle, the world came to know his name. He became the Crimson Lightning of the Leaf, known before only in the narrow circles where bounty hunters traded information. But now, a name spoken in every shinobi village on the continent. He had also, he realized, painted a very large target on himself. The war was effectively over. Naruto returned to the Leaf a hero. He didn't feel like one. He had done what needed to be done. What was right. That was all. They gave him a week to rest. He spent it training. He had noticed for months that his progress was slowing, plateauing in ways that frustrated him. After the war, he intended to address that directly. There was a path forward he'd been putting off. He would deal with it after everything's settled. As it happened, the rest of his generation had been stationed at other border posts. By ironic coincidence, Team Kurenai ended up assigned to his camp during the final days of the conflict. Naruto avoided Hinata. Hinata avoided Naruto! The wounds from before hadn't healed. They had just been bandaged over by distance and the noise of war. That night, Naruto sat alone by the fire. He wasn't sleeping. He rarely did anymore, not out here. He sat with his thoughts and the low sound of the camp settling around him, and he was somewhere very far away inside his own head. Good evening, Naruto-kun. He didn't turn around. He knew that voice from among 1,000. Evening, he said flatly. An awkward silence. You're a hero now, Hinata said quietly. Not a question. Something like that. Another silence. Then, Naruto-kun, I wanted to talk to you. About what? I can't go against my father. Her voice was careful, measured, like someone stepping across ice. But he's wrong. He told me you weren't a suitable match for me. He said it the morning after our walk. Naruto said nothing. He also told me I have to marry Tarao. She paused. I've met him. I don't like him, not even a little. Still, Naruto didn't respond. Naruto-kun, I love you. The words came out almost like an exhale. No one else, just you. Naruto went very still. Then his voice dropped to something flat and cold. Hinata. Yes? Get out of here! All of you! Move! Now! That's an order! In the same instant, his senses, sharpened by Sage Mode, had registered 5 approaching presences. Fast, powerful. 2 of them were Kage level. 1 was a Jinchuriki, and 2, the distinctive chakra signature, unmistakable once you'd felt it, were Akatsuki. Naruto didn't fool himself. The Akatsuki weren't here for the war. They were here for him. A Jinchuriki and a bounty that large, too tempting to ignore. As they say, the enemy of my enemy. This is going to be interesting, he said quietly. Hinata and the other shinobi assembled at the center of camp. Naruto faced them. 5 shinobi of Kage level are approaching. You will run to Konoha. I will hold them here. I am their target. The camp erupted. They couldn't leave him. Not the crimson lightning of the leaf. Not one against 5 monsters in human form. This is not a discussion, he said, and his voice carried the weight of someone who had already decided. Go. Hinata's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't lose him. Not now. Not like this. But they obeyed, one by one, grim-faced and silent. They gathered their things and moved out of the camp. Naruto remained alone. He breathed slowly, rolled his neck, let the fire crackle. The 5 enemies approaching him were Killer B, the 8 Tails Jinchuriki, Raikage A, Sasori of the Red Sand, Deidara, an explosive combination. The odds that Naruto would survive were, by any reasonable calculation, low. He acknowledged this calmly. What warmed him now, the only warmth left in him, was Hinata's confession. For her, he thought, I am willing to die. He created a wave of shadow clones. Some of them immediately scattered to begin gathering natural energy, entering the first stage of Sage Mode meditation. This fight would require everything he had. He waited. Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto! The Raikage's voice crashed through the darkness like a thunderclap. I know you're here! You wanted something? Naruto called back, his tone politely curious. Your death. Lightning crackled across the Raikage's entire body. He launched forward at full speed, almost too fast for the human eye to track. Almost. In Sage Mode, Naruto was the fastest shinobi in the world. He moved aside as if the Raikage had simply misjudged where he was standing. The others closed in simultaneously. Clay dragons from Deidara, white cubes from Sasori's puppets, splintering into shrapnel mid-flight, the earth itself shaking under Killer Bee's chakra. Naruto moved. He had already calculated their patterns. He had seen these techniques before, or techniques like them. He dismantled Deidara's clay constructs in midair. He destroyed Sasori's puppets in sequence. He was fast enough to be in 3 places at once, or close enough that it didn't matter. But 5 Kage-level opponents were 5 Kage-level opponents. He was hit hard, more than once. He could feel it, the breath of death, close and patient. He reached up and pulled the tie from his hair. His red hair fell loose around his shoulders. The attackers went pale. Every shinobi of this generation knew what it meant when an Uzumaki unbound their hair in battle. It meant they were fighting to the end. No retreat, no surrender. 1,000 clones exploded into existence. The slaughter began. Shurikens filled the sky. Explosions lit the night. The original Naruto fought Raikage A directly, dodging, countering, taking hits he couldn't fully avoid, and returning each one with interest. When the dust settled from one exchange, the Raikage had no clean patch of skin left to speak of. The Akatsuki members were dead. The remaining enemies were exhausted. Now, Naruto thought, he dove inward, into his own subconscious, and the familiar dark corridors of the mindscape appeared around him. He walked until he reached the great iron gates. The massive red eye behind them opened slowly. Jailer, rumbled the Nine-Tails' deep voice. I need your power. You know you'll take everything I give. You might not survive the return. I know, Naruto said. That's why I'm asking, instead of taking. The fox was quiet for a long moment. I want to promise, Naruto said, that you won't harm anyone here. No one in this camp. The Nine-Tails regarded him. Fine! Then, one more thing. Naruto walked up to the gate. I've spent a long time imagining this moment. I thought I'd have grand speeches ready about how much I resent you, what you took from me. He paused. Standing here now, I can't say any of it. I don't feel the hatred I expected. Isn't that strange? The great eye regarded him. Something in it shifted. Not warmth exactly, but the absence of contempt. Don't make me repeat myself, the fox rumbled finally. Open the seal! Naruto reached for the seal lock. A hand touched his shoulder from behind. You don't need to do that. He turned. Standing there, calm and unhurried, was a man with the same face as Naruto, the same wild red hair, the same impossible blue eyes. Father, Naruto said. Flat, factual. We'll talk later, Minato said quietly. You have a battle. Naruto stared at him for one heartbeat. Then he nodded and released his subconscious. His body was waiting for him. It rose slowly, and then golden chakra erupted from every surface, wrapping him in a living coat of light. Strange black patterns moved across it like writing in a language older than Shinobi. The Nine-Tails chakra refined and transformed. Shall we play? Naruto asked the remaining enemies and smiled for the first time in the entire fight. It was not a kind smile. The second round began. The enemy Kage fought harder now, or tried to. Naruto was faster than before, reading their movements before they committed to them, striking and vanishing and striking again. When the last exchange ended, all 5 of his opponents were standing, barely. But so was he, battered and bleeding, the golden chakra dimming at the edges. Dawn light crept across the battlefield. The ground below was waterlogged, cratered, unrecognizable. Naruto raised one hand. A massive Rasengan shuriken formed above his palm, spinning, roaring, filling the air with the sound of a coming storm. The enemy understood. None of them would survive that attack. None of them could dodge it in their condition. A good fight, Namikaze, the Raikage said. There was something almost respectful in his voice, though it cost him visibly. But we're done here. They disappeared. Naruto watched the space where they had stood. Then his legs gave out. He was unconscious before he hit the ground. He would later learn that he lay in a hospital bed for nearly a month. The village named him a hero, formally, officially, by unanimous vote of the council. Shinobi from other villages sent letters. Even some of the Keiji he had fought against wrote to the Leaf in quiet, indirect terms that amounted to acknowledgement of what they had witnessed. Fighting 5 Kage-level Shinobi alone and forcing a draw was not something human beings did. But before all of that, while he was still unconscious, still somewhere deep in his own subconscious, drifting through those familiar dark corridors, he found his parents waiting for him by the gate. Let's take this in order, Naruto said when he saw them. His voice was perfectly calm. What are you doing here? His father looked at him. You know the answer. I have a theory, Naruto said. Tell me if I'm wrong. Minato nodded. The shadow clone I sealed inside you, placed there by the death god himself, was designed to activate the moment you encountered the Seven Tails, to reseal it. And you? Naruto turned to his mother. Kushina Uzumaki smiled at him, a little sadly, a little warmly. Someone had to teach you how to work with Kurama's chakra. Who better than the one who carried him before you? Naruto was quiet for a moment. As for the chains, Kushina added, you already have that gift in you. You've always had it. You just needed someone to show you the door. They looked at each other, the 3 of them, and understood that they had more to say to each other than any one meeting could hold. Too much history. Too much that had grown in the absence of what should have been there. They would have time, not much, but some. And somewhere above them, in a hospital room in Konoha, his body was already beginning to wake up.
Jiraiya leapt through the forest canopy, moving as fast as he could toward the northwestern border camp, toward the place where every leaf shinobi had fled from, and where his idiot godson had chosen to remain alone against 5 monsters.
The Sannin couldn't sit still. He couldn't lose another one. All of his students were gone. Jiraiya ran and simply prayed, in the quiet, wordless way of men who rarely pray, that Naruto had survived. When he reached what remained of the camp, he stopped. Craters everywhere, fallen trees, small fires still burning in the dirt. The silence of a battlefield after the fighting is done. Please! Then, a flash of color between 2 fallen trunks, crimson red, impossible to mistake. Jiraiya crossed the ground in seconds and turned the boy over carefully. He pressed 2 fingers to Naruto's neck and held his breath. A pulse, faint but steady. The Sannin exhaled so hard he nearly bent double with it. Alive, he said to no one. Then more quietly, "You scared me, you little idiot." He hoisted Naruto over his shoulder, summoned Gamabunta, and rode the great toad straight back to Konoha. He needed a drink. He decided he would have one the moment Naruto was in a hospital bed. He did!
Naruto was in a coma.
The doctors couldn't say when or whether he would wake. Jiraiya sat at a bar with a bottle of sake and discovered that Kakashi Hatake was already there, somewhere between sober and not. "I'm a terrible teacher," Kakashi said by way of greeting. "I don't think so," Jiraiya replied, settling onto the adjacent stool. "One of your students ran away. One is in a hospital. That leaves one." "I taught him nothing." "You taught him more than you think." Jiraiya poured himself a cup. "Naruto is closed off. Always has been. A small, angry wolf who wouldn't let anyone close. But he talked about you. Called you something like an older brother." He paused. "Don't undersell that. For a kid like him, that's everything." Kakashi said nothing for a while. Then, "Thank you, Jiraiya-sama. That matters." They drank in silence for a while. 2 men with complicated relationships to students they loved. Eventually, Jiraiya found himself staring at the bottom of his cup and thinking about the 9 tails. "You know," he said inwardly, talking to no one in particular, "that Fox had the worst possible beginning. Came to the human world looking for something, found fear and hatred instead. And then it hardened and became exactly what they feared." Jiraiya understood that. He'd met enough people who'd done the same thing on a smaller scale. Inside Naruto's subconscious, time worked differently. He was lying on the 9 tails' back, on warm, impossibly soft fur, staring up at a ceiling of darkness.
"So I'm in a coma for a month and a half," he said.
"Roughly," the 9 tails rumbled beneath him. "Anything good I could be doing instead?" "Sleep." Naruto didn't sleep. He lay there and thought, which was what he did when there was nothing else to do. He thought about his parents, about Kushina's story, about Minato, about how much he'd imagined saying to them, and how little any of it had mattered when he was actually standing in front of them. He thought about Hinata's face, lit by firelight, saying, "I love you," in a voice like she was giving something away. He thought about the battle, about the 5 bodies that had decided to test him, about what it felt like to be that powerful and still feel like you might not be enough. Somewhere above him, in a hospital room in Konoha, Hinata Hyuga came every single day. He didn't know that yet. She brought herself in the morning and sat beside his bed and talked to him. She talked about small things, about the weather, about something funny Kiba had said, about a new tea shop that had opened near the academy. She talked about the war ending, about the village slowly returning to itself. She talked about her father. "Our relationship is finished," she said one afternoon, quietly to the still face on the pillow. "He ignores me now, deliberately, and I find I don't mind as much as I expected to. He caused too much pain, more than I can forget." She paused. "Isn't that terrible? That I don't mind?" She wasn't sure it was terrible at all. What she minded was this: the unanswered words she had said beside a campfire, thrown into the night while enemy chakra signatures were closing in from all directions. I love you, spoken as a farewell more than a confession, and still hanging in the air between them, uncollected, like something fragile left in the rain. One morning, she was in the middle of a sentence about an argument between Shino and Kiba over whether beetles could theoretically win a foot race when a voice said, "Water!" Hinata froze. "Water!" it said again, rough and hoarse as gravel, but unmistakably him. She moved so fast she nearly knocked the cup off the bedside table. "Here," she managed. "Here, He drank, slowly. Then he squinted up at the ceiling. "How long?" "A month," she whispered. He nodded once, as if filing the information away. Then he looked at her. The silence that followed was the loudest thing Hinata had ever experienced. They both opened their mouths at the same time. "Hinata! Naruto-kun!" They both stopped. Then, "You first," he said. "No, you," she said. "I yield," he said. And then the door opened, and a nurse walked in, and the moment was gone. By the time the nurse had finished her assessment and the doctor had come to deliver his verdict, physically recovered, remarkable, you may leave whenever you wish, Jiraiya had somehow already appeared through the window, gray-haired and grinning and somehow looking exactly the same as he always did. "Finally awake. You had me worried." "You? Worried?" Naruto almost smiled. "Impossible. Don't flatter yourself." Jiraiya looked between Naruto and Hinata with the barely concealed delight of a man who considers himself an expert in romantic situations and is thrilled by what he sees. "I'll leave you two alone." He was already back out the window before anyone could respond. They went red simultaneously. Neither spoke for a long moment. Then Naruto said, "You wanted to say something?" "Yes, Naruto-kun, The doctor came back with discharge paperwork. Naruto looked at the ceiling. "Later," Hinata said, standing. "We'll talk later." "Right," said Naruto. He was discharged the same afternoon. Walking home through the village felt strange. He'd been inside his own head for a month, and the world had continued without him. Noisier, brighter, somehow more crowded with feeling than he remembered. People stared, but differently now. The glances that had once been made of contempt or avoidance had been replaced by something else. Recognition, admiration, and in some cases, open excitement. A few people stopped him for autographs. He gave them, feeling slightly disconnected from the whole experience. Is this what it's supposed to feel like? He wondered. Being wanted? He wasn't sure he'd had enough practice to know. He showered, changed into something comfortable, and checked the clock. 11:30. He'd arranged to meet Hinata at noon. What followed was witnessed only by the shadow clones Naruto panicked into creating to help him prepare. Choosing clothes, checking his hair, making sure he didn't smell like a hospital, and which he dispelled with perhaps less dignity than a national hero should have. "One of us is always running late," he told himself as he headed out the door at 11:58. "She's probably not even there yet." She was already there, sitting beneath a large tree near the edge of the park. Her tree, apparently, judging by the ease with which she'd arranged herself beneath it, with her dark hair loose around her shoulders and her hands folded in her lap. She looked up when she heard his footsteps. Something shifted in her expression. He sat down beside her. "Good weather," he offered. She agreed. A beat. "About your confession," he said. Her heart stopped. "I want you to understand something." He paused, choosing the words carefully. He'd had a month to practice after all, somewhere in the dark of his own mind. "I'm not good at this. I've never been good at this. But I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I've realized something." She didn't breathe. "I've been in love with you for longer than I admitted to myself," he said. "And I was an idiot to not see it sooner. He stopped, seemed briefly frustrated by the inadequacy of language, then pushed through it. "You're the best person I've ever met, Hinata. I just needed someone to pull me out of my own head long enough to notice. The world around them went very quiet. "You're not saying this to be kind?" she whispered. "You're not... Hinata!" His voice was flat, honest. "You know I don't do things to be kind. It's not really my strongest quality." She laughed, a small, surprised sound that she immediately covered with her hand. And then she grabbed him by the front of his shirt, pulled him forward, and kissed him. It wasn't the gentle, uncertain, almost kiss from the cliff at sunset. It was a month of waiting compressed into a single moment, demanding and warm and tasting faintly of something sweet, like the berries she'd had with her breakfast. When they finally separated, foreheads touching, breathing hard, Naruto said, "I'll admit Torao's method has one thing going for it." She pulled back and looked at him. "What?" "It works!" She hit him on the arm. He grinned, a real one, wide and unguarded, the kind he almost never let out. They sat there under her tree while snow began to fall around them, soft and unhurried, and for a while, neither of them needed to say anything else. That night, Naruto woke at 4:20 in the morning, drenched in sweat. The dream dissolved slowly, fragments of a voice saying words he didn't want to hear. "Your wife, Uzumaki Hinata, was killed during the attack. Pain like skin being peeled away. The sensation of the world tilting and going dark." He sat up and breathed. A dream. Just a dream. He sat on the edge of the bed until his heartbeat settled, then went to shower. The sun wasn't up yet. He trained anyway, 100 push-ups, 10 kilometers at full speed with his chakra sealed, enough to remind his body that it still worked. When he got back, the clock read 11:30. He had a date at noon. He left at 11:42 and told himself he wasn't in a hurry. The walk to the park was quiet and easy. Hinata was already there when he arrived, sitting beneath their tree, exactly as if she'd never left it. "Hey," he kissed her lightly on the top of her head, and noted with quiet satisfaction the immediate color that rose in her cheeks. "Waiting long?" "No, Naruto-kun. I just got here." She still hadn't broken the habit of adding kun. He'd stopped trying to mention it. It was hers to keep for as long as she wanted it. She looked, as always, effortlessly beautiful, even in the shapeless jacket she tended to prefer, which somehow failed entirely at concealing the figure underneath. Naruto had developed a habit of meeting the eyes of other men with a particular calm expression that said everything without a word. The women who watched him were Hinata's problem to deal with, and she dealt with it by sliding her hand into his, and tilting her chin up with a look that translated without ambiguity to mine. They walked. They talked about nothing in particular. The weather, their teammates, the way Kiba had somehow managed to get mud on Shino during an indoor training session. Then Hinata said, "Do you remember our first date?" "Hard to forget," he said, scratching the back of his head. "The fireworks ruined it." "You hate fireworks now too?" "With passion," she laughed. They had nearly looped back around the lake when a figure stepped around the corner of the path, and both of them stopped. Torao Hyuga. He looked at Hinata first, then at Naruto, then back at Hinata. His expression moved through several calculations. "Hinata, what a coincidence!" His tone was perfectly pleasant. "Who's your friend?" "I'm walking," she said simply, and gripped Naruto's hand a little tighter. The gesture didn't escape Torao. "And you'd be the famous Uzumaki everyone's talking about." He turned his attention to Naruto. "Interesting." A pause. "Would you mind releasing my fiancé's hand? She and I have somewhere to be." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Naruto said, with a calm that bordered on cheerful. "She's particularly fond of physical contact. My hand specifically. She's told me." Torao's jaw tightened. "Hiyashi-sama will hear about this!" "Will he?" Hinata tilted her head, genuinely curious. "That's funny. I was under the impression he'd canceled the engagement. He didn't mention it to you?" A silence. Torao looked at her, looked at Naruto, looked at their joined hands. Then he turned on his heel and walked away, back straight. The single word you'll regret this drifting over his shoulder like smoke. Naruto and Hinata looked at each other. Then they smiled. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," she said. "For what?" "For that. Please." He shrugged. What kind of boyfriend lets someone talk to his girl like that? She turned to face him and kissed him, not gently, not tentatively, but with the accumulated confidence of someone who had been practicing for a week and intended to keep improving. She was, in fact, considerably bolder than she'd been 7 days ago. The fainting was mostly behind her. The blushing remained, but it had become something she wore with less panic. "You know," Hinata said as they walked, "sometimes I think this is all a dream." "What do you mean?" "It's too good," she said. "Too right. I keep waiting to wake up." Naruto was quiet for a moment. "I know what you mean," he said at last. "I've had that feeling too." "Do you remember what today is?" he thought. "Thursday?" She laughed, a bright, unguarded sound. "October 10th, you fool. It's your birthday." He blinked. "I just came out of a coma," he said defensively. "My grasp of the calendar is impaired." "I'm not judging you. I just wanted to say..." She reached into her bag and produced something folded in dark cloth. "Happy birthday." He unfolded it, a red scarf, hand-knit, the stitches careful and even, and clearly done by someone who had spent more time than they would admit, getting them right. Naruto stared at it for a long moment. "You made this. If you don't like it, I can redo it." "No one has ever made me anything," he said. His voice came out quieter than he intended. "Not like this." He couldn't find more words than that. He didn't need them. He wrapped the scarf around his neck once, picked her up, and spun her until they were both laughing. "All right, enough, Naruto-kun!" "There's more," she said when he put her down, still smiling. "At home, a surprise." No amount of questioning got anything else out of her. When he unlocked his apartment door and walked in, the darkness lasted exactly 1 second before a chorus of happy birthday exploded out of it, accompanied by party poppers and at least one person who was unambiguously Jiraiya, because no one else laughed like that. Everyone was there: Jiraiya, Shikamaru, Choji, and Hinata, standing to the side watching him with that quiet satisfaction of someone whose plan had gone exactly right. Naruto smiled. Not the controlled, measured expression he used in public, not the slightly amused smirk he deployed when Jiraiya said something predictable. The real one, wide and unguarded and a little crooked. The one that only came out when he forgot to remember he was supposed to be composed. He hadn't smiled like that in a long time. A week passed. Things returned to something like normal. His relationship with Hinata was settling into itself. Comfortable, easy, warm in the way that certain things are when they were always meant to fit together and were just waiting for the people involved to figure it out. Then he was summoned to the Hokage's office. "You just turned 16, the old man said. "I'm aware." "I told you 2 years ago that I would wait before handing you the position." Hiruzen paused, studying the young man across the desk with eyes that had seen 5 decades of war and politics and the particular kind of tired that comes from carrying things too long. "I've changed my mind. The inauguration will be December 27th. Naruto didn't speak for a moment. "That's Hinata's birthday," he said. "Is it?" The Hokage's expression didn't change. Naruto looked at the floor, then at the wall, then back at Hiruzen. "You're sure?" "You will attend the clan council meetings as successor beginning next week. You'll find them dull. Try to look interested." The old man folded his hands. "One more thing." From the corner of the room, a figure emerged. The one-eyed man who had been standing quietly in the shadows the entire time. Danzo Shimura. His face was still, but something behind it was calculating. "He would be an ideal candidate," Danzo said. "He is the candidate," Hiruzen replied. Danzo accepted this without visible emotion. He was not pleased, but he was also, Naruto noted, not surprised. His position as the head of Root was comfortable enough. He could work with this. Naruto watched him leave. "I'll remember that," Naruto said quietly, more to himself than anyone. The council meeting the following week was exactly as dull as promised. Naruto sat through financial reports, infrastructure debates, interclan disputes about water rights, and a 15-minute argument between two elders who appeared to have forgotten what they were arguing about. He made several mental notes about systems he intended to overhaul. He said nothing aloud. December arrived quietly, the way it always does, creeping in behind the back of November without announcing itself. The village began decorating. The inauguration date circled on every calendar in the administration building. Naruto spent the first half of December doing something that required considerably more nerve than anything on a battlefield. He went to see Hiashi Hyuga. He had a question. Hiashi, to Naruto's considerable surprise, answered it without conditions, without interrogation, without a single one of the additional trials or tests Naruto had anticipated. He simply nodded once, and that was that. December 27th arrived with clear skies and cold air. Naruto had been awake since before dawn. The anxiety that moved through him that morning was a different species from anything he'd felt before a battle. Smaller and larger at the same time. Quieter and somehow louder. What if she says no? He walked to the park, to their tree. She was already there. "Hinata!" She looked up. Something in his expression made her go still. "Happy birthday," he said. "I wanted to say, the day you told me you loved me was one of the happiest days of my life. And the day we finally got it right and became what we are was even better." Her heart was doing something complicated. "But I think..." He paused, and she watched him choose the next words, the way she'd seen him choose techniques in a fight, carefully, with complete attention. "I think if you say yes to what I'm about to ask, it will be the happiest day I've ever had." He lowered himself onto one knee in the snow. From his pocket, he produced a small velvet box, the color of deep burgundy. "Hyuga Hinata." His voice was steady. His eyes were not. "Will you marry me?" Tears came before she could stop them, which was fine because she didn't try to stop them. She went toward him instead, answering before she'd consciously formed the word. "Yes," she said. "Yes, yes." She had her arms around his neck before he fully straightened, laughing and crying at the same time, and he laughed too, which was something he almost never did. And for a while, neither of them cared at all about the snow or the cold or the ceremony scheduled to begin in 3 hours. The wedding was everything a wedding between the 5th Hokage and the heiress of the Hyuga clan was expected to be, which is to say, spectacular, attended by everyone, and slightly chaotic in the ways that mattered least, and perfect in the ways that mattered most. Throughout the ceremony, neither of them stopped smiling. Some of the older civilians shook their heads. 16 years old and already married. Shinobi, for their part, understood perfectly. You never knew which mission might be your last. You took the happiness you found and you held on to it. Life settled into a new rhythm after that. Naruto handled the affairs of the Hokage. Or rather, his shadow clones handled the paperwork while he handled everything that actually required a person. He had learned quickly that the administrative machinery of a hidden village produces more documents per day than any human being should be expected to read, and had adjusted accordingly. Hinata kept the home. She had stepped back somewhat from active missions, not entirely, but enough to be present in the ways she wanted to be present. One morning, an ANBU operative appeared in the office and delivered a sealed scroll. Naruto read it. A summit of the 5 Kage. Location, the land of snow. He read it again. Interesting, he thought. He knew what it would be about. The Jinchuriki situation had been deteriorating across every major village. The Akatsuki had been moving. He sent his acceptance. He told Kakashi. He told his ANBU escort, a shinobi who operated under the codename Bear, that they were moving out in the morning. Then he went home to tell Hinata. The first light of dawn was just touching the village gates when 3 shinobi departed. 2 senior, 1 younger. "Move out," said Naruto. They took to the rooftops and ran northeast. The road to the land of snow was not long for Shinobi traveling at speed. The land itself announced its nature before they arrived. Cold, spare, the kind of white silence that presses against you from all sides. The meeting hall was a tall stone tower set into the ice. 5 samurai guards in lacquered armor met them at the door. "Hokage, you're among the first to arrive!" A guard bowed. "Please follow us!" The room inside was hexagonal, with a central table marked with 6 positions. Nameplates: lightning, earth, fire, wind, water. Ray cage. A was already there, enormous, close-cropped, radiating the controlled aggression of a man who had not forgiven and did not intend to. Onoki of the Hidden Stone was across from him, small and strange-nosed and ancient in the particular way of men who have survived things that should have killed them. Both of them felt Naruto enter before he reached his seat. The samurai escort on the second level went rigid. A piece of stone broke off the edge of the table where Raikage A's hand rested. Not deliberately, just the automatic force of a grip that tightened by reflex. They had not forgotten. Naruto sat down. He placed his hat on the table, as was custom. He acknowledged no one in particular. A few minutes later, the door opened again, and the Mizukage entered. Tall, green-eyed, red-haired, and immediately interesting in a way that Naruto registered and then filed under irrelevant. Her gaze moved across the room and stopped briefly on his hand. Where the light caught the ring on his finger, she exhaled, almost imperceptibly, and corrected her expression. Then the Kazekage arrived, with his escort. Gaara was young, younger than Naruto, though not by much, with the particular gravity of someone who had grown up carrying something enormous. When all 5 were seated, Mifune called the assembly to order.
Now that we are all present, the 5th Kage Summit is officially convened. If the Kage would remove their hats from their heads and place them on the table.
Naruto glanced down. He had placed his hat on the table when he sat down. Old habit. "I'll begin," said Raikage A, without waiting. His voice filled the room with the efficiency of someone who had been holding what he wanted to say for too long. "Recently, Akatsuki operatives infiltrated the Hidden Cloud and captured my brother, the 8 Tails Jinchuriki. The assailants were led by Uchiha Sasuke." He looked directly at Naruto. Naruto met his gaze without blinking. "The Hidden Leaf bears no responsibility for the actions of a missing nin," he said, his tone exact and unhurried. "I will, however, make you this promise. If I or anyone under my authority encounters Uchiha Sasuke, he will be eliminated immediately." Raikage A's expression flickered. He slammed a fist on the table. The stone cracked, and bodyguards materialized at his shoulders in an instant. "Mifune Dono," said Gaara quietly from across the table. "I would ask the assembly to lower its temperature." Mifune nodded. "Please, let us proceed in order." A pause. The room breathed. The summit continued. At the Kage Summit, an uninvited guest arrived through a spatial technique, a masked figure in an Akatsuki cloak, demanding the remaining Jinchuriki or promising war. Raikage A lunged at him instantly. The figure phased through the strike without effort. "Think before you act," the masked man said, with the particular contempt of someone who has never been hit in his life. Then he vanished, leaving only a parting note. "Sasuke is heading for your village." A marked kunai landed in the space where he had stood. Naruto was already moving. Hinata was at home when the alarm sounded across the village. Her first instinct, shinobi training, sharp and immediate, said fight. Her second instinct, quieter and more certain, said not now. She ran for the shelter. She told herself she would take the lecture from Naruto later, gladly. She didn't make it. A white-haired young man with filed teeth was waiting around a corner, a large blade resting across his shoulders and no chakra signature she could detect, because his body was chakra. Water-natured fluid, impossible to strike cleanly. Before the fight could properly begin, 2 A and BU dropped from the rooftops. 3 against 1 was better odds. She breathed. At the root base, the damage was catastrophic. Danzo Shimura was dead at the center of it. Naruto stepped over the wreckage without much feeling about that particular fact. Sasuke's voice came from somewhere ahead. Naruto! Sasuke! Behind the Uchiha stood 3 others, including a red-haired girl whose chakra Naruto recognized immediately for what it was. He didn't waste time on conversation. 5 clones, all in the Nine Tails chakra. The room wasn't large enough for more. Sasuke's Susanoo erupted around him, that perfect purple shell that had no equal in the Uchiha arsenal. Naruto's chakra chains erupted from his body and wrapped around it and began to squeeze. The Susanoo was not built for that kind of force. The red-haired member of Sasuke's team absorbed chakra. Useful trick, poorly controlled. Naruto had faced worse. Suigetsu of the Hozuki clan was interesting. Naruto had never fought a water body before, but not interesting enough to cause real problems. When the last of them was down, Naruto launched a technique he'd been working on. Wind-natured, 4-hand seals, no name yet, and sent a spinning sphere of razor wind directly into Sasuke's remaining Susanoo. The Uchiha hit the floor. He wasn't dead. Naruto looked at him for a moment, then walked out. Hinata, it turned out, had not had an easy time of it. The 2 ANBU helped, but by the time the fight was over, she had been thrown into a wall hard enough to lose consciousness. Her last thought before the darkness took her was his name. She woke in an underground space that was not the village hospital. Torchlit corridors, iron suits of armor standing at intervals, strange paintings that seemed to move. At the end of a long corridor, a golden door. She opened it. The room beyond was a throne room. On the throne sat a young man, impossibly thin, impossibly still, with mismatched eyes. One emerald green, one bottomless blue. His hair was the red of autumn leaves. His face was beautiful in the way that things without warmth can be beautiful. "Are you?" "No," he said. "I'm not him." The weight of his presence pressed against her like deep water. She understood, without being told, that she was looking at something that had no interest in being looked at. "Am I dead?" "Not yet. You weren't supposed to end up here. My avatar is apparently closer to me than I realized." A pause. The mismatched eyes regarded her without curiosity. "You should go back." He crossed the room in a single motion, pressed his lips to her forehead, a gesture utterly without intimacy, the way one might close a book, and her consciousness went out like a light. She woke in the hospital. Naruto was in the chair beside her bed, knuckles white, eyes red at the edges in a way he would never admit to. "How long?" she said. 3 days. He handed her water. She drank it. Then she looked at him and said, "Naruto-kun, I have something to tell you." "So do I." "You first." He looked at the floor. "Sakura came to the office," he said after a moment. "She attacked me. She's dead." He said it the way he said most things, simply, without decoration. "I'm sorry you have to hear that from me." A silence. "What did you want to tell me?" he said. Hinata looked at him. Then she took his hand and placed it on her stomach, just for a moment. "We're going to have a baby." The world rearranged itself around that sentence. He didn't move for a long moment. Then he did, carefully, as if he wasn't entirely sure he was allowed to, and held her. Terrified, happy, furious at whoever had put her in that hospital bed, grateful beyond language that she was alive. All of it at once. He was getting better at carrying more than one thing. The war resumed. The real war. The one the Akatsuki had been building towards since before Naruto could remember. The resurrected Kage were deployed against the Alliance. Word reached headquarters fast. Naruto left the strategy to the Nara. He had one job. He appeared on the battlefield in a flash of crimson light. Golden chakra already burning around him, the Hiraishin seals lit across the field like stars. "Who is that?" someone asked. "The Hokage," said Gaara simply. "Don't blink!" The four resurrected Kage turned toward the single shinobi who had just interrupted their systematic destruction of the Alliance, and Naruto looked at them the way he always looked at opponents. Calmly, measuring, already 3 moves ahead. "Ready?" he asked Kurama. "Always," the fox said. The battle was brutal and long, and at the end of it, the four were sealed, not destroyed, because the dead can't be destroyed twice, only contained. And Naruto was wiping blood from the corner of his mouth and looking at the crater-marked ground around him with something that might, in better light, have looked like satisfaction. Then the pressure dropped. Every shinobi on the field felt it simultaneously. That particular quality of stillness that means something fundamentally wrong has arrived. He turned around. Madara Uchiha stood at the edge of the crater. The old man looked at Naruto. Then he smiled, slowly, with genuine pleasure, the way a chess player smiles at an opponent who is finally worth their time. "Shall we dance?" Madara said. "Sure," said Naruto, and released his hair. What followed was not a battle in any ordinary sense. It was 2 forces of nature operating at the outer edge of what was physically possible. Movement too fast for the eye, techniques that reshaped the landscape, a Susanoo that blotted out the sky on one side, and a full Nine-Tails manifestation on the other. Naruto's chakra ran out first. It always would. Madara had been resurrected with infinite reserves, and infinity is hard to fight with finite things. When the golden light dimmed and Kurama's form dissolved, and Naruto found himself on one knee in the mud, Madara walked toward him without hurrying. Naruto's hair was still loose. He was still smiling. Tiredly, honestly. He began forming hand seals. Madara watched, curious. He'd seen everything. He couldn't place this sequence. Ram, ox, monkey, 3 more. Rat, bird, horse, snake. 1 seal remaining. The triumphant expression vanished from Madara's face. He recognized it now. Naruto pressed his palms together. "You know," he said, "I really don't like it when people step onto her territory without permission." A light erupted across the battlefield so complete that for a moment no one could see anything at all. When Naruto woke, the ceiling was white. His instincts had him assessed and oriented within 2 seconds. Hospital room, Konoha, 1 week since the battle. A row of leaf shinobi stood guard in the corridor outside. In the chair beside his bed sat the Shinigami, in human form, still and patient, watching him with those empty, mismatched eyes. "You're awake," the entity said. "Apparently." Naruto looked at him. "Is there anything you actually need? Or do you just visit?" "I came to make sure you understood." A pause. "You are my avatar in this world, a fragment of what I am, housed in a body and a life. Your memories are your own. Your experiences are your own. When you die, they return to me." He watched this land. "You were concerned about when?" "Yes. At minimum 132 years from now!" Naruto breathed. "That's a long time," he said. "It is. Is that everything? Don't call on me without cause." The entity began to dissolve at the edges, the way fog burns off in sunlight. "And Uzumaki Naruto?" "Yeah, she'll wake up soon." Then he was gone. She did. A week after that came the last Kage Summit, the real one, the one that would decide what the world looked like now that the war was over. Naruto sat at the hexagonal table and waited while Raikage A worked himself toward a vote. "The Alliance cannot hold," the Raikage said, which was true. "The leaf did most of the work," Naruto said, which was also true and caused immediate uproar. "You were planning to eliminate me anyway," he continued into the noise, "which is why none of you showed up at either major battle. I'm grateful. You'd have been in the way." The uproar intensified. "You want to form a new alliance and destroy the leaf?" Naruto asked pleasantly. "Go ahead! Try!" He released a fraction of his chakra into the room. Everyone sat down. "Give me a reason," he said, quieter now, "and your villages will be ash. What rises from them will be a single, unified shinobi nation. He let that sit, or we can be reasonable. Your choice. He left before they voted. Behind him, 6 Kage looked at each other across the wreckage of the table and understood that the world had a new kind of shinobi in it. The third god of their age, younger than the other 2 had ever been when they were named, and considerably more patient. 2 months later, winter. Naruto sat in the Hokage's chair and watched the sun go down over Konoha. The paperwork existed, shadow clones handled it. The real work, the work that required a person, he did himself, and he had found to his surprise that he didn't mind it. Every time he looked out the window at the village below, he saw what he was protecting. The place where his wife lived, the place where his child would be born, the place where 132 years from now, he would meet his death. He found he was at peace with all 3 of those things. Our Hokage, the streets of Konoha called out on the bad days, and on the good ones, simply hero. He had been called worse. Winter settled over the village, patient and unhurried, and Naruto Uzumaki, son of the 4th, vessel of the 9 tails, avatar of death, Hokage of the hidden leaf, husband and soon-to-be father, watched it come and was glad.